What if everything we thought we knew about global economic rankings is backward? What if the world's second largest economy isn't second at all, but first, and by a margin no one's talking about? Today, we dive into a controversial claim that's lighting up debate in economic circles and across online platforms, that China's real GDP, once adjusted properly, might actually be 3 times the size of America's. That's not a small error. It's a total rewriting of the global economic leaderboard. We're an Endgame Compass. And before we get any deeper, let me ask you this. Do you think America's GDP actually reflects its real strength today? Yes or no? Drop your thoughts in the comments. In this video, we'll break down how common GDP metrics might be misleading, why the US economy looks much bigger than it really is on paper, and how China's physical production is changing the equation for good. Stay with us through the end because the conclusion, it could reshape how you view every economic headline for the next decade. GDP, or gross domestic product, is supposed to measure the total value of goods and services produced in a country over a given period. Sounds straightforward, doesn't it? But is a dollar really the same everywhere? Is a service in New York valued the same as one in Shanghai? That's where this entire model starts to fall apart. You see, GDP is measured using market prices, but those prices vary wildly between countries influenced by local wages, interest rates, and cost of living. And if we're comparing economies using price tags that are inflated in one country and suppressed in another, are we really comparing apples to apples? Spoiler, we're not. Let's start small, with something you probably don't associate with global economics: dental care. In the US, a basic teeth cleaning might cost you anywhere from $75 to $200. A filling, that'll run you as much as $250, and getting a crown, up to $1,500 out of pocket. Now let's hop over to China. The same procedures cost dramatically less, only about $18 for a cleaning, $1.44 for a filling, and $450 for a crown. It's not about quality. The work gets done, and the teeth get clean. The difference lies in pricing and wage structures. America's service sector is bloated with overhead costs, while China's is leaner. And here's the kicker. When we calculate US GDP, all that inflated spending pushes the numbers sky high. Meanwhile, China's more efficient services register far less value even when they do the exact same job. That's a fundamental flaw, and it's everywhere. Now imagine you're a business traveler heading to a global city. You stay at the Park Hyatt in New York. One night at this luxury 5-star hotel costs you $1,182. Meanwhile, your counterpart is traveling to Shanghai. He stays at the exact same hotel chain, same star rating, same date sand. His stay costs $286. Guess what? On paper, the American traveler just contributed 4 times more to GDP than the traveler in China. But was the experience 4 times better? Was the service, the facilities? Not even close. This happens across industries: education, healthcare, insurance, rent-and. The effect is the same. US GDP balloons, not necessarily because Americans are richer or more productive, but because their services cost more. So the real question becomes, is America's bigger GDP actually showing us anything useful? This is where a lesser-known metric enters the conversation: purchasing power parity, or PPP. PPP compares economies not just by how much they spend, but by how much they can buy with the money they have. It gives us a better way to ask, what does a dollar or a yuan actually get you? Let's say you earn $100,000 a year in New York. Between rent, healthcare, commuting, and taxes, you're barely keeping your head above water. Now drop that same annual income into a second-tier Chinese city. Suddenly, you're living like royalty. PPP adjusts for this disparity. And when we do that, the picture changes dramatically. In fact, once PPP is applied, China's economy overtook America's back in 2014. And the gap has only grown wider since. Here's where things get even more complicated. A huge portion of US GDP isn't based on real transactions, it's based on estimates, guesses, and financial interpretations. Let's unpack one of the biggest ones: imputed rent. In the US, if you own your house, the government estimates how much you would pay if you were renting it from yourself, and then includes that fictional payment in GDP. That single line item accounts for about 14% of America's GDP, more than $4 trillion worth of fake income. Then there's employer-provided health insurance. Even if no money changes hands, economists estimate its market value and tack that onto GDP too. In China, that doesn't happen. Unless there's an actual exchange of money, it doesn't get counted. No fiction, no padding, just real production. Let's move from the abstract to the physical. Construction and infrastructure. In 2022, China's construction spending hit roughly $1.2 trillion. With the US close behind at $1.1 trillion, looks similar, right? But let's consider what each nation got for their money. China produced 1.3 billion tons of steel. The US, just 97 million. China laid down dozens of high-speed rail lines. The US, still waiting for its first true high-speed connection. New bridges, entire ports, endless residential towers. China's built all of that, most of it in the last 20 years. In contrast, a similar budget in the US might be just enough to renovate a few subway platforms. So again, what are we really counting? And who's getting more for less? If you're still watching, you're not here for surface-level stories. You're here because you care about the truth behind the headlines. So don't miss what's coming next. Click to follow our channel and turn on bell notifications. We drop deep insights that the mainstream media barely scratches. Let's talk about one of America's biggest export services. Today, the US has 5 times more certified accountants than China, 15 times more financial advisors, and an entire lobbying industry that doesn't even have a counterpart in most of the world. These jobs are important, but most don't create tangible products. They operate within the system. Reviewing, billing, regulating, advising, all within one economic feedback loop. And they're well paid, very well paid. So naturally, they inflate GDP. But are they producing something we can export, something we can trade, something that builds infrastructure, feeds people, or powers factories? Hardly. That brings us to the heart of today's argument. Let's do an experiment. What if we removed all the fiction, the imputed rents, inflated service prices, and financial services? What if we measured only what gets built, shipped, exported, or consumed? The result is staggering. In terms of productive GDP, actual goods, and tradable outputs, China's economy is likely more than 3 times the size of America's today. Not double, 3 times. And it doesn't stop there. China now consumes more electricity than the US, India, Russia, Japan, Brazil, and Canada combined. 7 of the world's 10 busiest shipping ports, Chinese, whole industrial parks in China, are built for the cost of a single American factory. Railways, solar farms, highways. China's churning out the future of infrastructure at a scale the West simply isn't matching. So where does that leave us? It means we might have been looking at the scoreboard all wrong. For decades, Western economists looked at GDP as gospel. But the deeper you dig, the clearer it becomes. We've built a scoreboard that rewards inflated prices and fictional inputs over hard output and real capability. It's like judging a fitness contest, not by muscle or performance, but by weight alone, regardless of whether it's muscle, fat, or water. One country lifts iron, the other inflates numbers. So I want to hear your thoughts. Are we overestimating America's strength? Underestimating China? Which economy do you think holds more weight in the world today? Let me know in the comments below. I read every one. If this gave you a new perspective, don't just subscribe and hit the bell, because in a world where perception drives policy, recognizing what's real could make all the difference. We're Endgame Compass, and we'll keep asking the hard questions. See you in the next video.